Hello, welcome to Punch in the Nose Productions and GoldenRecoveries.com. I'm Gary Downer. Today we're going to take a look at the lost treasure of Eddyville, Iowa. Eddyville, Iowa is a small town on the banks of the Des Moines River. The population still today is about 1,000. There is very strong evidence that this treasure tale is a true story, and there's still a fortune in gold coins buried near Eddyville, Iowa. There's also some that say this is just a tall tale. You'll have to decide for yourself. Our story gets its start in 1903 when W. DeLong, the postmaster of Eddyville and also the editor of the Eddyville Weekly Tribune, said he got a letter from someone signed with the name of Labarge. DeLong published the contents of the letter in his newspaper. I'm going to read that article word for word now. From the Tribune, November 6, 1903. In 1876, the gold discoveries in the Black Hills started an army of adventurers to that section. Jeremy Labarge was among the first to join the throng to seek a fortune in the new El Dorado. For a year he worked at prospecting, stage driving, or anything by which he could earn a dollar. He finally gathered together enough money to put in a stock of miner's supplies and provisions. Attending closely to business, he was soon earning a considerable income. At this time, he met two prospectors, William Gunton and his partner Mullally. They were hard up, and a contract was made with Labarge to grubstake them for an equal share in their findings. After much hard work and many disappointments, they located a gold-bearing ledge that they sold in a short time for $45,000 cash. They then determined to start for the States, and at the urgent request of William Gunton, they concluded to make their trip overland to Illinois. So they bought a good team and wagon and started east. They struck the Missouri River at Sioux City September 1st, 1878. Crossing, they went east to Fort Dodge, then they bore southeast, passing through Marshalltown, Montezuma, and other places. They were indulging in all manner of dissipation, drinking, playing poker, the latter leading to many quarrels among them. The comedy of Labarge and Mullally was being worked up to a dangerous point against Gunton, owing to the fact that he was steadily winning, and when they reached this vicinity, he was in possession of the larger part of both Labarge and Mullally's share of money. The sequel is better told in the following language of Labarge, one of the murderers, as it appears in his confession. The crisis came one night while we were camping about a mile northeast of a little town called Eddyville, Iowa. Our camp was pitched in a lonesome place under a couple of small oaks in the turn of the road. Their nearest house was half a mile east, while on the road south were two graveyards. There were few passers. As usual, we were all pretty drunk, and we started the inevitable game of cards. Mullally had been morose and sullen all day, and was very quarrelsome. Bill was having his usual run of good luck, while Mullally was losing heavily. Finally, Mullally threw his money belt containing all that was left of his $15,000 on the ground in front of him, staking it all on his hand. When he called, he threw down 4 kings. Bill had a straight. Mullally accused Bill of cheating. With an oath, Bill made a drunken lunge at Mullally with his hunting knife, laying open his arm. Mullally grabbed up a wagon stake and hit Bill a terrific clout just back of his left ear. He fell like an ox. I sprung to stop them, but Bill didn't budge. A hurried examination revealed his skull crushed. He gasped several times and was dead. The horror of the crime sobered us. Gunton now had all of Mullally's money and most of mine. We knew Gunton to be an assumed name. He never spoke of any relatives. To escape the consequences of our deed, did it become known, would be difficult. There was but one thing left to do, to hide all traces of the crime, divide the money, and put all possible distance between us and this spot. Hurriedly dragging the body back from the firelight, with a knife we ripped his clothing, rifling his pockets of everything that might afford a clue to his identity. I threw his garments into the campfire, and just as I finished, Mullally stepped up holding in his hand a gruesome object. It was Gunton's head, bloody and dripping, severed from the trunk. Holding it up by the long red hair, the bloodied countenance, the protruding eyeballs, the sneering lips, still seemingly cursing, a horrible sight, he tossed it into the fire. Writhing and twisting, the flames gnawed and scorched off flesh and hair, destroying the surest means of identification. The dark woods bordered the road on the west, and in it, across a small ravine, we carried the headless trunk. Hurriedly digging a 4-foot hole, we jammed the body in, trampling the ground carefully, removing all evidence of its disturbance. Going back to the fire, the nauseating stench of burning flesh warned us that the head would be too long in burning. So stepping out into the road, I buried the head in the middle of the wagon track, depending on the passing travel to obscure all traces of its hiding place. We scattered our campfire over the place where the butchery had taken place to cover all traces of blood, hitched up our team, and hurriedly left the scene. By daybreak, we were 20 miles from the spot, and though years have passed, the crime was never discovered. And that is the entire contents of the letter that DeLong published in his newspaper. He had stated that he received the letter in a sealed package on October 20th, 1903. To quote on the package, it said, "To be sent unopened to the postmaster at Eddyville, Iowa, after my death." And it was also accompanied by a letter from the person who sent it to DeLong. That was sent with the package by the person that sent it to DeLong was signed by a Mrs. James Shaw. Stated, quote, "3 days ago there died in my house in this city Mr. Jeremy Labarge, a man with a checkered and turbulent career. He came to my house 4 months ago in a very feeble health. He seemed to have no relatives or friends, but he always paid his board regularly. Something seemed to prey heavily on his mind. What it was he never told, but he would often start up from sound sleep, the cold sweat breaking from every pore, seemingly trying to escape some awful influence that was stifling him. Perfect frenzy of convulsions, begging for mercy and screaming with terror of some unseen thing. It was horrible. His secret died with him unless this packet, which he made me promise to send unopened to the postmaster at Eddyville, Iowa, contains the key. In fulfillment of his last request, I ask you to see to it that his dying wishes, if not unreasonably, be respected. Very truly, Mrs. James Shaw." That show the letter was signed, "Very truly, Mrs. James Snow." So there appears to be a misprint. Which name is right, Shaw or Snow, is unknown. On October 29th, 1920, DeLong published another article in his newspaper about the finding of a human skull in the road. That 1920 article says there was a skull found in the turn in the road north of the cemetery by a Charles Odom and others engaged in grading the road. Also in the 1920s article, he stated that in that original letter that he got mailed to him, it also said, besides a confession of murder, the letter stated there was $30,000 in gold buried near the body at 3 different points. A map was with the confession, the original confession, and it showed the location approximately where the body was buried, and it was necessary to find the location of the body before the gold could be found. The following is a quote taken exactly from that 1920s article that DeLong had written. It said, "Owing to the fact that I had, by years of newspaper work, attained a fairly satisfactory reputation as a cheerful liar, the story was not taken seriously in some quarters. But so far as I was concerned, I only gave the public the facts as I received them, and this confession, together with two strongly verifying additions, one a statement from John Steele from Fort Madison and another communication from Pittsburgh a year later, firmly convinced me that a murder was committed at that point and the body buried there, although the confession might not be accurate as to the circumstances surrounding the same or the name of the victim correct. Now that the head has been found, it offers an excellent opportunity for the curious to locate the gold. There was a bio written up in another publication about W.W. Long that said he was a pupil in the grade and high schools of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and early in life developed an ambition to become a scenic artist. He studied the art of scenic painting in several of the best schools of this country. He spent 4 years in study, mastered the art, and followed this vocation in different parts of Iowa with much success. He located in Eddyville in 1881 and was its mayor from 1893 to 1894. In 1897, he purchased of Jacob Cusart Jr. the Weekly Tribune, which he has since edited and published. He is a clever, versatile, and well-informed writer and makes his paper attractive from every point of view. He has much influence in the community and through the medium of his paper does what he can to further the interests of the county. His paper not only has a large circulation in Wapello County, but in Monroe and Mahaska counties as well. In July 1897, he was appointed postmaster of Eddyville and reappointed in January 1901, having served in a most creditable manner. That concluded the bio on DeLong. DeLong had stated that the gold each man had was in 1-gallon jugs. Each man had a gallon jug full of nuggets and gold dust, and that's the gold that was buried. So is this treasure tale true, or was it just an interesting story made up by a newspaper editor? The key, of course, would be whether or not there was actually a burnt skull found in the wagon road north of Eddyville. If somebody could confirm that there was a burnt skull found in the wagon road north of Eddyville, then that would prove this story, of course, as fact. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for watching.
Oh, you want to play with me? Now I got you.